I'm not going to lie to all of you, and I will be very honest. The past 24, 48 hours and the past 2 days have been surprising, sad, and disappointing. But also, I was taken aback by the Ducks placing Bob Murray on administrative leave due to an impending investigation on his unprofessional conduct within the organization. As I delve deeper into it and look at some of the Twitter handles and some of the Twitter profiles of some of the hockey pundits and sports pundits, there were allegations that was made towards Bob Murray. And according to Frank Cervelli, and this is what was said, Bob Murray is placed on leave after allegations of mental warfare, repeated verbal abuse and harassment of players, staff, plus intimidation tactics and temper tantrums that foster a culture of fear in the organization. Now, those actions, those verbal abuse, have absolutely no place within the Ducks organization. No place in all of pro sports, minor pro sports, junior sports, amateur sports, all levels of hockey, and including team sports and individual sports. Hearing those allegations and hearing about how he would berate players, threaten them with job security, uh, verbally harassing them through text messages. Those are red line for grounds of dismissal. It was surprising. It angered me. And to the point of I'm at a point of being not surprised. Why, you ask, is because during the past few years, I had the privilege and honor of going to see a Ducks hockey game. And after those games, I would go and mingle with local Ducks fans at some places, be it at the post game or at pubs or places like JT Schmidt's. Conversations I had with them was, and this is not, um, I'm not trying to stir the pot, but I'll tell you, they had issues, and they talk about Bob Murray. Murray was, as one would say, had a short fuse, had a temper, had high expectations on certain young players drafted by the Ducks and others traded or signed via free agency. Why am I telling you this is because reading about, as I see here, about the repeated verbal abuse and allegations that were supposedly go back years. I am not going to say it validates or something, but when you hear something like this, and you hear it from local Ducks fans and some who worked at the Honda Center, talking about Bob Murray's temper, his short fuse, how he was not approachable. And yes, he is a bit of an old school guy. Him and Randy Carlisle. I'm not going to speculate. It's not my place to speculate or get involved in local gossip. That was one of the mottos and creeds that I follow when I go in Orange County because one was to enjoy a Ducks hockey game live, two, sightseeing, three, experience the American culture and the California lifestyle. It really made me think, made me reflect on the conversations I had with them. To hear about Murray's allegations, it really made me thought about them, thought about his attitude towards the players, how he treated these players. These are players that were willing to contribute 110% to the Ducks cause. And for him to do what he did, to cross that line many times, I always wondered, and I always knew that for our Ducks to inject some immediate, meaningful, positive reforms, they have to have changes, especially at the general managership, the management, and on ice. Right now, the on ice product in the team is doing really great. The momentum is going full steam ahead. The resurgence is up. But with news of Bob Murray going into an alcohol abuse program, which he is doing right now, yesterday. This is a statement and news that's been brought to us by on the Ducks website. You can find it on the Ducks website. It's a small, brief statement. This is what it said. Bob Murray resigns from position as Ducks Executive Vice President, EVP, and General Manager. The Anaheim Ducks announced today that Executive Vice President and General Manager Bob Murray has resigned from his position effective immediately. Murray will enroll in an alcohol abuse program, as announced yesterday. Jeff Sullen will be the club's interim general manager, the second in Ducks history. This is a statement by the Ducks owners, Henry and Susan Samuelis. First and foremost, we apologize on behalf of the organization to anyone affected by misconduct from Bob. We expect every member of our organization to be treated with respect and will not stand for abuse of any kind. Bob tendered his resignation this morning, while also informing us of his decision to enter an alcohol abuse program. While we do not condone his conduct, we fully support his efforts to improve his physical and mental health by asking for help. We will now begin a methodological, extensive search for a permanent general manager to lead us forward. We expect to complete this process no later than next summer. So the Ducks acknowledged that there was an issue. The owners did. And with them saying they'll conduct an extensive search for a permanent general manager tells me that they're going to make sure that this is not going to happen again. Whether the Ducks owners, Henry and Susan Samuelis, will continue with a hands-off approach, hey, look, I'm not there. I'm not the fly on the wall, okay? But it really tells you something about how they're going to approach it. And kudos for the Ducks ownerships of the Samuelis and others to be swift and be proactive on the issue and the misconduct that was that was given to them through the NHL hotline that was made by an anonymous Ducks employee. This is also a following statement from former Ducks GM Bob Murray. I want to apologize to anyone adversely affected by my behavior. I vow to make changes to my life, starting with enrollment in a treatment program. I want to thank Henry and Susan Samuelis and Michael Schumann Speaking for them has been one of the highlights of my career. As I step away from the Ducks, I will focus on my attention on where it should be, improving my life and for the betterment of my family and friends. So he admitted that he was in the wrong. But the question remains is, and reading that statement by both the Samuelis and former Ducks GM Bob Murray, I asked myself, did the Samuelis know that this was going on? Who was the players that Bob basically lost temper with? I don't know. But what I do know is this. Even though that he had issues with alcoholism, there is no excuse, as I always say, for verbal abuse, threats of job security, and making a workplace environment, whether it be on a hockey team or anywhere, toxic. The purpose to have an environment is to be positive, safe, and one that is unifying, to bring people together. There was no excuse for that. But sadly, this was not what we expected. This was not how we would expect our Ducks to. I wouldn't say our Ducks, but to expect Bob Murray to end his legacy and tenure with the Ducks. He is the longest serving, or was the longest serving general manager in Ducks history. I mean, started in 2008, succeeding Brian Burke, and leaving as he now does on the 10th of November, 2021. It really is something that we're going to have to deal with. As much as we are looking forward to the what lay ahead for our Ducks, it's going to come down to what interim GM Jeff Solomon speaks about today. Yes, he's going to speak to the media. What changes he's going to bring, who knows? But personally, in my own honest opinion, in regards to in light of all the events that have been going on for the past 48 hours, all we have to do is wait and see. I, for one, in regards to what I've heard, because I'll tell you again, talking to Ducks fans and hearing about them have issues with Bob, and especially some who I have come in contact with, I know it was not my place to say something, but looking back now, it always makes me wonder. I know for one thing, in regards to Bob's dislike of young players, and as well as Carlisle's issue with young players. There was an issue with, I remember an issue they had with one player who will remain anonymous. Let's just say he was a first rounder. They called him a lot of things, and they made his life miserable. So if I was a player and Bob Murray was the general manager, I would have serious issues going forward if his expectations were unreasonable. But right now, because even though he is no longer the Ducks general manager, the investigation is still going on. We won't know what um, actions, what issues is. It's all up in the air. It's all speculation. We can only speculate, but I don't want to speculate. But as for all those who were affected by Bob's outbursts, I hope and my thoughts are with you guys. And as we move forward, I hope that there will be some reforms that the Samuelis will have for their Ducks. So that's all I have to say.